James was still enjoying himself, but there was no one around to share his fun, so he headed for Wellsworth Station. But as James pulled into Wellsworth Station, Gordon and the express were pulling out. The passengers had gone. "Bother," said James. He was disappointed, and he left the station. James headed straight for the branch lines. James saw Thomas. "Look at me," he puffed. "Don't I look fine?" "You should be at work," called Thomas. But James didn't listen to Thomas. James was enjoying being James. But Percy wasn't enjoying being Percy. He was trying his hardest, but the troublesome trucks were being very naughty. Poor Percy was almost worn out. "What will happen to the order now?" cried the yard manager. When James rolled into the coal plant, it was late in the afternoon. Percy was cross. So was the yard manager. "To make up for lost time," he said, "you must take an extra long line of coal cars to the docks." James was delighted. The docks were always bustling with engines and people. "It's the place to be seen," he said. "The troublesome trucks are being very naughty," warned Percy. But James still wasn't listening. James puffed along, looking forward to being seen. But the troublesome trucks were naughtier than ever. They rocked and rolled and crashed and bashed. James's face was soon covered in soot. Going downhill, the troublesome trucks wiggled and giggled. James had to put his brakes on with a jolt. Coal tumbled out of the troublesome trucks, landing on James. James was cross and biffed the troublesome trucks as hard as he could. More coal flew out. Now James didn't want to be seen. He was as dirty as he had ever been. But on his way to the docks, he kept passing his friends. He passed Emily. And Edward. And Thomas. Thomas thought the only red thing left on James was his face. James trundled into Brendam Docks. He hoped no one would see him. But Gordon was at the docks with the express. He could not believe his eyes. He thought James was the grubbiest, grimiest, dustiest, dirtiest engine he had ever seen. Percy arrived safely with the last of the coal cars. "I like your new coat of paint," he puffed cheekily. "You do look splendid." James knew he should have listened. He didn't feel splendid anymore. But for the first time all day, James could hear clearly. He could hear the sound of the troublesome trucks giggling at him. And despite feeling foolish, even James had to smile. It was a busy, bustling day on the island of Sodor. All over the island, steam engines and diesel engines were happily working together. Sir Topham Hatt came to see Thomas. "The quarry has an important order to fill," said Sir Topham Hatt. "I need an engine that is both useful and reliable." "I won't let you down, sir," whistled Thomas proudly. But when Thomas arrived at the quarry, he had a nasty surprise.
"Oh, it's you,
Oiled Diesel.
What are you doing here?"
"I'm here to help Mavis," puffed Thomas proudly.
"Steamies can't help, not like a diesel."
That's not true, said Thomas crossly, and he began working at once. But Diesel was soon up to his old tricks. First, he shunted Thomas under the hopper. Cinders and ashes, spluttered Thomas. Then, when Thomas let off steam, Diesel sniffed loudly.
What's that horrible smell? He cried. Oh, it's just a stinky old steamy engine.
How rude, exclaimed Thomas.
No wonder Sir Topham Hatt is thinking of scrapping steamies.
I don't believe you, huffed Thomas. But he was upset. That night, Thomas stayed at the quarry. But he couldn't sleep. What if Diesel is right, Thomas said sadly. What if Sir Topham Hatt scraps all of us? Thomas was worried. The next day, Salty had arrived. Ahoy there, me hearties! Fresh diesel from the mainland! After he had been refueled, Diesel's engine started to rev faster and faster.
Ha ha, he chuckled. This new fuel makes my axles tingle.
Coal doesn't make my axles tingle, sighed Thomas. I wish I could have fresh fuel. Even Mavis was excited by the new fuel. Oh my, she said. Thomas was feeling left out. Soon Diesel was showing off.
I'm the fastest engine in the world,
he boasted.
Look at me go!